This is The Becoming, a podcast about the sacred and powerful journey of awakening and becoming who you truly are.
We're your hosts, Kate and Judy Moon. As a mother-daughter duo with many years of experience in coaching and personal transformation and lifetimes of wisdom between us, together we explore what it truly means to come alive, living with deeper meaning and purpose, breaking generational chains, reclaiming freedom, and guiding the soul's return to wholeness.
Through soulful conversations about healing, transformation, and the power of MDMA-assisted therapy, along with raw, behind-the-scenes reflections and insights that illuminate the path forward, we invite you into a journey that's not just about healing your past. It's about breaking through the invisible barriers that have kept you stuck and finally stepping into the life you've always known you were meant for.
Whether you're in the middle of a heartbreak, an awakening, a breakdown, or a breakthrough, you're not alone. This is The Becoming.
Hello and welcome back to The Becoming. We are absolutely thrilled that you are joining us for episode 2.
We're really excited about this topic today.
We
aren't
are.
About the invisible barriers that we all experience when we're facing growth and change in our lives.
Very, very true. This is a hot topic here at Camp Moon. This is something that we talk about all the time. And I think the reason is that this has probably been one of the greatest pains in our lives.
And that we see with our clients.
So our clients over the years have tended to be really incredible creative types, entrepreneurs, coaches, helpers, seekers, and healers.
And people who know that they're meant for more and are not living up to that moreness and not understanding why they aren't, feeling the sense that something is in their way.
That they keep striving. And
the truth of it is they basically know it's something within themselves.
Yes.
And that has been our experience too.
And you can probably relate that you can sense that there's something invisible that's holding you back, but it really is one of the deepest pains in life when we know that we are meant for something great. And something invisible has its tendrils in us that is holding us back and tethering us to our old selves, to an old life, and to an old identity. And no matter what we do, we just can't seem to shake it.
And these are unconscious patterns. They're so patterned into us, and they've been patterned into us for many, many years. It's not like it's just brand new.
And because it is the water that we have been swimming in our whole lives,
it's normal.
It's normal. And actually, therefore, we become blind to it. So we can't see it.
We can't see it. We can sense it. And I think how people sense it is because it becomes a block. Something is blocking them from what they say that they want.
And I will say this, that if you are in a position right now where this is resonating for you, congratulations, because it means that you're growing. The vast majority of people on the planet don't necessarily have this push-pull inside of them because they're not really on a growth trajectory. It's really only once we start to dream bigger for our lives or believe that we could be living a more expanded existence and then we start taking those steps that we actually start moving in that direction, that this can even start to crop up.
I think it's the courage to grow.
Yeah.
Because I think as human beings, we're kind of wired to kind of keep things. I mean, safety is like the number one thing that we hold on to as human beings. Literally, it's life or death.
That we are, again, completely asleep to. We don't know that safety is driving the entire train here.
This being needs to stay, this human being that's in form needs to stay alive. And the way to keep this human being, this body alive, is to keep it safe.
which means therefore to not change anything.
To not change anything. And so therefore we're really screwed.
We're really screwed.
I know.
This is the great tension of the opposites of that our souls are here calling and crying out for
Please.
growth and expansion and moreness, while at the same time our nervous systems have been wired for safety in such a way that they will sabotage every growth attempt that we have consciously by taking over the subconscious and holding us back.
And so that holding back, it's this conundrum of like, driving with the parking brake on and the accelerator. It's really a painful place to be.
It's incredibly painful. And you and I have spent a lot of time there.
Oh yeah. And unconsciously and even consciously.
Yeah.
So that's the whole conundrum.
It is.
Because we're fighting really two urges, one for survival and safety and the other for growth and evolution.
Yeah.
As you said, it's like the soul's evolution is like yearning for growth, and yet we live in these human being bodies that just want to keep us safe, and which can feel like we're stuck.
Yeah.
Like we can't move forward, and indeed we are stuck.
And there's no greater pain than the psychic pain of feeling like we are stuck, like we cannot, that we don't have agency to grow, to live a more expanded, better life.
And we don't know why.
Mm-hmm.
So let's unpack the why.
What you and I
have
discovered for ourselves. And that
yes,
we have seen walking shoulder to shoulder with dozens of clients over the years.
And ultimately, it really comes down to our identity. This identity that we have absorbed, that we have been given by others, by the adults, actually, the parents, the families, whoever.
The authority figures.
The authority figures that are often reflections, projections of their own lack. So
their own burdens, their shame,
their trauma,
their own trauma.
And so we take this on. So here's the thing. We learn who we are as little beings by from the reflection that other people and the projection that other people give to us. And that comes from them. So that's how we learn, am I good enough? Am I lovable enough? We're back and forth trying to, again, keep these little bodies of ours alive and safe. And initially, we don't know the difference between like our mother and ourselves. So if our mother has a lot of baggage, she's carrying a lot of wounding, a lot of trauma, a lot of fear, a lot of shame, then that is coming. It cannot help but be projected onto us, these clean little slates that we've been born as.
And it's not the truth of who we are.
And it's
in
not
our
who we are.
essence.
But it's like a sponge that we absorb it and we begin to believe it's the truth of who we are. And then we grow up and then we become toddlers and then we go to school and we're still carrying somebody else's version of who we are. It's not us. And so everything that we do on our lives then becomes like we either hold ourselves back because we're running this program that I'm not good enough, but it didn't come from my pure essence. It came from somebody else's
burden
that has been projected on to me. It's complex. But here's the deal. All these invisible barriers that we're talking about, Kate, they're all a reflection of all those stories and all those beliefs and all those constructs that are incorrect that were given to us. And we believe it to be true for ourselves. And so we go through life with these beliefs.
Something that I have heard from one client after the next. And these are clients who they are often very educated. They're very smart. They have, many of them, been in therapy for even decades, and they have done one coaching program after the
the
next.
other.
And it's not to say that this is not a new concept to our listeners about, oh, this comes down to our core self identity. That's likely not a new thought.
We've likely heard this
This is sort of
before.
becoming a little bit more in the conversation out
A
there,
little more
a
mainstream.
little more mainstream. But what I've heard from one client after the next, when they have worked with us, is that they will say, I knew that my childhood and the events of my life and the hardships that I have gone through, the challenges,
And even the traumas.
and the early childhood ones, I knew that
Yes.
that was part of the picture, but I actually had no idea that it was driving the entire train
Yeah.
to the degree that I've now found that it is.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so what we're talking about here is we have to take the whole damn house down to the studs to rebuild this. Because another thing that I see a lot out there, so in the conversation around self identity out there, that I rage against, that I take a deep stand against, because you'll hear a lot like, oh, it's all about changing your self identity. And so this is a really appropriate conversation in a podcast where we're talking about becoming,
Yes.
is that I think that the way that it's been taught by many other people out there is it's sort of like cherry picking, like, oh, this is the perfect identity that I want. Someone who's wildly self confident and, they look a certain way, they dress a certain way, they talk a certain way. And what it becomes is that we are now stepping into the masquerade ball wearing a costume and a mask of a self identity that we think is going to be the self identity that's going to get us to the mountaintop that we desire.
We pretend. We play dress up.
Yeah.
We put it on. And actually, we've actually heard that. Fake it until you make it.
Just put it on.
Just put it on. And it becomes actually a mask. It's not who that person is, but it's who he or she believes that she or he needs to be in order to be the man or woman to do the thing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's like stepping into Venice, going to Carnivale,
that
and
fancy.
putting on the whole
Yes.
costume. So this is what I rage against, because I have tried it that way as well, which is why I rage against
Well,
this.
exactly. I mean, only a person can only rage against it if they're guilty too.
Well, and if
know.
I've done it and I found
Yeah.
actually that it was a complete facade and it was a charade.
Well, and Kate, it was not something that I actually believe that you were conscious that you were putting on.
For sure.
It was something, and me too.
Yes.
Something that we believed or that we thought or we learned that we had to do in order to be successful or to be accepted or have people like us or whatever
In order
the
to
reasons.
be seen as a
Yes.
big deal or as
Yeah.
an authority in some fashion.
God forbid being ourselves.
God forbid being ourselves. But, and this is the crux of it,
Yeah.
is that when we have been given these self-identities that have then been shaped by so many different life experiences and by people over time,
We don't know who we are.
we don't know who we are.
We don't know who we are, and that's what we need to discover.
So when I
That
say
is the
take it down to
biggest-
the studs,
Yes.
I'm not kidding.
That is the journey of a lifetime to discover who we truly are.
It really is.
Who we truly, and it's the gift of a lifetime.
It is the gift of a lifetime.
Because we can only live fully in this one life that we know that we are living in this moment if we could truly be ourselves.
if we can truly be ourselves.
Oh, and what a relief that is. What a relief that we don't have to be anybody else other than who we are.
So a lot of this, in my experience, is all of the things that we need to take away, that we need to strip down in order to be who we really are.
Yeah.
And in order to find that true soul identity that is inside of us.
It's like, no, that's not mine. That's not mine. That's not mine. I can own that for me.
Yeah.
You know, it's cherry picking. It's like, yeah, really learning about who we are.
From an authentic place, not a image-based projection of what we think is required.
Yeah. And I'm going to say, in the world that we live in and the social media that we're all just like buried in,
Bombarded
with, that it's pretty easy to kind of think, well, who do I need to be in order to be seen in a way that I'd like to be seen? It's a tricky
It
one.
is.
It's a tricky one to navigate.
One of my favorite images that I think of when we talk about this subject is Michelangelo.
Is the slaves.
So Michelangelo's belief, and we have written accounts of this, he
Mhm.
believed that inside every block of marble that he carved was the completed masterpiece waiting to be freed. David already existed inside of the block of marble when it was just a raw block of marble coming out of the quarry.
I love that. It gives me the chills.
Or that the Moses or the Pietà, that these were all fully formed masterpieces that were trapped inside of the marble, that his job was to liberate them. So if you go to Florence, most people will go and they want to see the David, of course. The David lives in the Accademia
Yeah.
Museum in Florence.
It's at the back of the room.
He's in the back of the room. So you walk into the museum and everyone just jets right to David, obviously. And
Right
so
to
he's in
David.
like an alcove, and it's spectacular. He was actually intended to be in a piazza, and he's since been moved to protect him.
But this lighting and everything.
Exactly.
It's
He's like
a-
16 feet tall. I mean, he's
Yeah.
absolutely extraordinary. You can walk 360 degrees around him. He's unbelievable. But the thing that most people skip
or miss.
they don't even know.
They don't even see
They
it.
don't even know that are there.
Yeah.
Or what are the art historians have called the slaves. And these are unfinished works by Michelangelo. So it's really extraordinary because you can see his technique of how he worked, working like, again, 360 degrees around them, like starting to actually liberate these figures from the marble. But these are unfinished works. So there's one in particular, and it was probably supposed to be the figure of Atlas carrying the weight of the globe on his shoulder,
The weight of the world.
the weight of the world. And you can literally see that these are the slaves. They are trapped figures that were never fully liberated from the marble. And every time I see these images, I can't help but think of all of us as human beings, that we are trying to live these extraordinary lives, and
We are these magnificent beings.
these magnificent
with all
masterpieces,
kinds of possibilities.
and
yet,
we are trapped under the weight of the marble that is holding us captive.
yeah. And so this is so poignant. I mean, I just love this. It gives me the
Gives
chills,
me the chills too.
because how many of us feel so burdened by the weight of the world and the inability to break free from these chains. And these chains are generational chains. They're not just our chains. It's not the chains that we've just put on ourselves. They're the chains that have been given to us through the generations, that we have been born with, in my opinion, that we carry. And it's our job in this lifetime to liberate ourselves.
I really believe that this is our soul work, that this is the path that has been laid in front of us for a reason,
Exactly,
that that's
Kate.
why we carry them.
Yes.
That's what I have really come to understand through doing this very, very challenging work myself.
It's not just punishment. There's
It can
a reason.
feel- it can feel
totally,
that way.
Well, it totally feels like punishment.
It feels like punishment
I know,
when
like-
you're in the middle of it.
like we're being whipped by the,
No, it does.
but by the slave master, which is ourselves.
Exactly. Well, and this is the thing, is that it's none of this is our fault, because we were children. This was given to us. However, it does become our responsibility to heal once we start to wake up to this. And what you start to realize, and this is the radical responsibility, radical honesty part of this, becomes that when we wake up to it as adults, we realize that yes, we have been captive, we have been held in prison, but we also hold the keys to our own liberation, that we have also been our own jailer at the same time.
It is taking responsibility for some of it too, until we have the opportunity to wake up. I mean, it really is about waking up.
And this is not about victim blaming or victim shaming in
No.
any way, but it's saying that actually we do have the agency
We do.
to step into our own liberation, that we don't need to be drowning under the weight of what other people have placed on us any longer.
And what can be really challenging, Kate, and I know that we've seen this too, is that when there's been a lot of abuse and trauma, that it can feel really, really hard.
Yes.
And it is hard. And often it's when we look at the hard and we face the hard, is that is where we learn something new about ourselves, that we realize that we are way more than those people who gave the hard to us, or at least the circumstances, that we are really amazing. And that we have the agency, as you're talking about, as you're sharing, that we are more than what we knew ourselves to be. And that is where we begin to grow a new identity. And that's the whole process, that we begin to see ourselves properly in the proper light about who we really are.
We do.
And that we're not that old story. And you talk about liberation, liberating oneself from the cast of the cement or the marble. What that's liberation. When we have been the ones that have been steering the ship and liberating ourselves, that is even greater.
It's the most empowering feeling in the world to really heal and leave that old identity behind. And it's not, again, because we're putting something on, because it's fake, because we're putting on a mask, because we're actually just trying to shield ourselves more. In fact, we bring all of that down. And as you said, we find out who we are and what we're really made of. And that is the pearl of great price. That is the identity that we can then rest on, that we know who we are, whose we are, we know what we are made of. And from
Kate,
there, that's when we then go out and we're actually capable of fulfilling the destiny that we sense is inside of us.
yeah.
We don't get to do that. We don't get to pass go and collect our $200 without doing the hard work, the hard healing work inside of us.
Because it's ours to do.
It is.
And that is true freedom. That is freedom.
Yeah.
That is the freedom that we actually have the agency to access if we do the work. When we talk about who you become in the process, becoming more, this is what is required to become more. My buddy, Jim Rohn, I love what he had said years ago, is that if you want to have more, you need to become more.
Most people just want more.
Because you know why? Wanting more is just easier than actually doing the work to become more.
Yeah.
But it's true.
Yeah.
Most people just want more.
And I think that there's a whole facade out there on social media where we see the highlight reel of everyone's life, and it looks like they're just out there having more.
They're just sitting there on the beach with their little cocktail and said,
They're on a yacht
easy.
in Positano.
I know. It's not real. It's not real.
Mm-mm.
Yeah. And it doesn't have to be treachery or horrible work. It's the soul work. It's the most fulfilling work that there is because it's something that's sustainable. It's something that's true. It's something that's real. It is the work of the soul's becoming in this physical realm. And here's the truth, Kate. You and I have taken our own lives down to the studs more than once.
Multiple times.
Multiple times. And honestly, especially this last year, we really sat in that energy of the unknown.
Sitting in the crucible of what real transformation actually takes.
And just sitting in it and trusting it and believing that we were on the right path. And that was what was necessary. And it is in the unknown where possibilities actually exist. And if we know everything that's before us, then that's not actually meant for us. It's not our path. We are not forging our own path. We're then living somebody else's path. So the whole point is to be able to let go and trust that the unknown is going to direct us in the right direction where we are uniquely meant to go and to live and to be.
And what we've really found is that what is required is that we don't get to go there until we have been willing to sit in the crucible of the discomfort and the crucible of the transformation.
And it sounds a little daunting, Kate.
It's actually the most liberating experience I have ever had in my entire life.
It's actually the most sacred experience.
It is the most sacred experience.
It's not us that are out there, with our muscle and doing. It's like leaning back and trusting that we are being divinely guided.
So much of our intention with this podcast, and specifically with why now in this podcast, is that you and I want to pull the veil back, reveal the man behind the curtain, like who is the great and powerful Oz. So we're talking about all of these unseen, invisible forces that have been holding us back. And we all sense that they live inside of us, but we haven't known how to address them, how to move through them, how to turn those ghosts into ancestors. Once we learn the tools of how to actually do this, this is where life gets really, really good. This is where we come alive. This is where we wake up with passion and meaning and purpose. And all of these sound like platitudes, but they are really real.
And I'm thinking this is, Kay, as you're saying, this is where all possibilities exist. And again, it sounds a little bit airy-fairy, like a platitude, but the truth of it is it couldn't be truer.
Something that I have come to appreciate and think about a lot over this last year is, as I have been in the process of unburdening myself, of knocking off chunks of the marble that have been weighing me down, and feeling lighter and more unencumbered. The more that I have felt lighter, more unencumbered, more liberated, the more that, and you and I ask this question to one another all the time. This has been a question we've asked for a long time, which is what is seeking to emerge?
Mm-hmm.
But we've been asking, what could now be possible from this vantage point?
Yeah.
From this mountaintop, what could be possible?
From this new awareness.
Yes.
This new truth.
This new truth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What could be possible from, as you said, Kate, this vantage point?
Yes.
Because we've been seeing up until now from a different vantage point, carrying a whole lot of baggage, and that is a very low frequency. But from this higher frequency, this higher vantage point, what's possible from here?
What's possible from here? So much of our intention of why now. I mean, I feel like you and we've gone into the cave. We've been facing the dragons. We have come out with the gem. I don't know, the pearl of great price. I'm mixing like 500 metaphors right now.
With the golden chalice.
With the golden chalice.
You know what?
And we're pulling Arthur's sword. I don't know what the... And we want to share what we have learned, because this is something that I had never heard anyone else talk about.
No.
I'd never heard anyone else, any other mentor. We've worked with a lot of people. We've done a big deep dive for many years.
Many years.
And I've never heard anyone really share about what it takes, the process of tearing our self-image down to the studs and actually rebuilding it with the most authentic version, the most authentic materials.
With who we are.
Who we really are.
Like it's like discovering that human in the marble, that beautiful human in the marble that we're maybe meeting for the first time. However, we know her inside.
Yeah, she's been living in here all along.
She's been living in here all along.
Waiting to be liberated.
And it's a homecoming.
It is a homecoming.
Yeah.
And it's beautiful.
Yeah.
So in the upcoming episodes, this is something we're really, really going to dive into, pulling the curtain back and sharing very vulnerably our own experiences of what it has been to really meet ourselves for the first time.
Yeah.
I can't wait.
I'm excited for that. Yeah. Let's do it.
Let's do it. Well, thank you so much for joining us on our second episode of The Becoming, and we cannot wait to share more about our journey.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for listening to The Becoming.
We'd love for you to join our growing community. Please subscribe to the podcast, share this episode with a friend, and leave a 5-star review.
It truly means the world to us and helps others to find their way here too. We'll see you in the next episode.